Space. The final frontier. An infinite expanse of endless possibility. Mysterious, unconquered. And the perfect setting for wacky comedy. After doing King's Quest 1 and 2, I figured it was time for a change. And on the other side of the coin to fantasy is sci-fi. Space Quest, a new, completely different series from King's Quest. In space, also made by Sierra and using the AGI technology from King's Quest. But this series comes to us not from Roberta and Ken Williams, but from two designers called Scott Murphy and Mark Crow, the two guys from Andromeda. The difference in creators also made for a very different kind of game, best exemplified by Scott Murphy himself. Sierra was in a mindset where everything was medieval and it was all fairly serious. I wanted to do a game that was more fun. While King's Quest has some amusing moments, Space Quest would actually try to be an actual light-hearted comedy, riffing the sci-fi stories and tropes that the pair loved. I have little experience with Space Quest as a series, so I had no idea what to expect. But you'll note, this is the longest out of these videos so far, which is understandable when you consider my playthrough of Space Quest took me longer than both King's Quest 1 and 2. I'm not saying this game is evil, but it outright advertises I buy a Sierra hint book in the section where it's meant to tell you how to play the game. I got a bad feeling about this. Since this is sci-fi, it's only fitting to get a big crawling text opening to establish our setting. In brief, the son of Ernon, I'm assuming they mean solar system up there and not galaxy, one sun in a whole galaxy would be crazy, is dying. But hope remains that life there can be saved. A device called the Star Generator is capable of turning a dead planet into a sun, which seems like it would cause huge consequences in terms of gravity and uneven heat distribution, but hey, I'm not an astrophysicist. In fact, according to the game, I'm a janitor. And an awful one at that. Yeah, Space Quest takes the Douglas Adams approach of making us a lowly spod, the rust at the bottom of the galactic barrel, rather than any chosen one or elite fighter or anything like that. We also get to pick our name at the start of this, though canonically you play as someone named Roger Wilco, so we'll just stick with that for convenience sake. We start the game waking up from an on-shift nap, and then we're thrown into the game, where immediately something is going wrong. The Ark Order has been boarded? Oh no! I hope those boarders don't steal the super mega planet cooker device. You'll notice the game is very similar to King's Quest. Same layout, same text parser, same speed settings, and same little guy who has a big environment to explore. I do like these split rooms though. That feels unlike anything I saw back in Daventry. Not sure what I meant to be doing just now, so time for the old bumble around. I enter a library first of all. Oh, sorry, a data archive, because it's the future. There's some robot here designed to retrieve the cartridges, but I can't figure out what to do with it. Nor why I want to, besides this is an adventure game and I want to collect everything. So I leave and... oh dear. I suppose they're regretting not taking a nap on the job. Nothing to do for them now but search their pockets. This one gives me a key card, but taking the elevator down to the others nets me nothing. I enter this room and I assume immediately this is the ship's bridge. But turns out it's actually the laboratory where we were keeping the Star Generator. I get the feeling that something is missing. The bodies here are also empty, so there's nothing in here for me, I guess. I leave, walk right to investigate a body, and... footsteps? Well, that's far from ideal. First death already. There's no jingle to taunt you, unlike King's Quest, and frankly, good. These aliens, by the way, are called Sarians. It tells you in the manual. I go out to that body, and this time I'm fine. I guess random enemies are just going to be a thing again. I take an elevator, and this takes me to a new area, but I turn back, because I feel I'm missing something, and I don't want to be caught in an unwinnable scenario again. I investigate this door, forgetting this is the closet Roger was taking a nap in. It's too dark to do anything, so I leave. Back to the data archive again. At this moment, I pause to start drawing a map. something that I never use nor draw again in this whole game, when suddenly an injured man walks in the room. Uh-oh. He slumps over after a few steps, and when I go to look at him, he begins to tell me more or less what I already know. Ship under attack, they took our ethical doomsday weapon, yada yada. But then he looks at the cartridges and says something. Astral body. Then he dies. Now, I'm guessing his dying words were meant to be some kind of big clue, especially as there's nothing on his person, and I feel I'm dying for some kind of goal or objective here, so I try to use the cartridge machine, and for the life of me, I have no idea what I'm doing. I want to type the words into the computer, but nothing I can think of seems to be working. This will be a recurring problem. Eventually I get frustrated and leave. Back to the lab. I feel like there's got to be more of a purpose to this room too. Hey, is that a hole over there? Oh, I guess not. Oh, it's probably a monitor of some kind, so let's just... Oh. Oh no. Oh, I gotta get out of here. Astral body. I dash through the ship, down the elevator, and explore the corridor I haven't been to yet. Nothing in this body. The next room looks hopeful though. I just need to get down to the vehicle bay and fly out of here, right? To the next room, where I smash my face on the door. Were you Carl Malden, it could have gotten ugly. Wow, what a timely reference. Clearly I need to put the keycard in that slot to unlock the door, but I am struggling again with using the right terms that the game likes. Good job, I'm not in a hurry or anything. Oh, use card. Okay, whatever, it's fine. Welcome to the flight prep room. I type look at terminal, thinking this whole thing is important, but I guess not. So I go to these doors and begin pressing buttons. Oh, a spacesuit. I'll put that on. Behind door number 2 is... What are those, boots? No, I guess not. Oh, a gadget. I guess I'll take that. Turns out it's a dialect translator, which seems extremely useful. So let's go in and... I don't know how to open this door. I go back to behind the desk and can't work it out until I look around and see this door is called an airlock. So just guess if I type press airlock button, it'll work. It does! We can keep going. Astral body. I'm in the hangar now. I look at the console and yes, I would like to raise the platform, please. Push platform button. It won't raise while the bay doors are closed. Okay, open them. Not correct. Just open doors then? The bay door is not opened from this room. Oh god, which room is it then? I check down the hole and there is an escape pod down there. So I'm certain I'm on the right track. I try using the flight prep desk, which, by the way, needs to be referred to as a console to examine it. Specifically, this game's thesaurus is thin enough to see through, and it doesn't help that unlike King's Quest, we're using much more technical terms than Dracula or ham. I go back upstairs and yes, there's a console here to open the doors. So now the doors are open. I can finally leave. I took too long. Damn it. Alright, let's try this again. Astral body. Okay, I get it. I can't shake the feeling that I'm missing a very important piece of some hypothetical future puzzle by not finishing up in this room. Fortunately, that run made me realise now I have to look at the computer monitor before I can use the computer. It seems obvious when you say it out loud, but frankly I assumed looking was an implied part of the process. Maybe next I'll remind Roger how to breathe. Anyway, I type astral body and get the cartridge. There's no cartridge slot here, so I'll work out what to do with it later. I begin my escape again, prepare to open the bay doors as I pass the console in a dizzying display of speedrunning strategy, and make my way... Wait, there's footsteps. And make my way... Wait, more footsteps. And make my way inside. Get the suit, get the gadget, get in the hangar, raise my escape pod. Then I spend what feels like an eternity trying to work out how to get in the bloody thing. At one point I get bored and fly out into space without my pod, suffering probably one of the worst deaths I think one could possibly have. After an embarrassingly long amount of time, I realise I need to enter the escape pod specifically from the side. This pixel-wide thing here is meant to be an open door, I suppose. Okay, let's leave. Oh, alright, safety first. Now let's leave. Ah, okay, yeah, shutting the door is probably an idea. Right, now let's leave. Oh, bother. It's really difficult to fly a spaceship. I look at the controls and there's a power, an auto nav, and a don't touch button. So I turn on the power, pull throttle, and fly out away from the Arcorder. This is the first time we've got a look at the ship, actually. Looking like a large greenhouse. Like one of the domes from Silent Running. No wonder we were attacked. Might as well hang a sign saying, "We are weak and defenseless." Roger now flies through space in his escape pod. Everything seems fine, so let's just keep going and... Oh, we missed our stop. Whoops. Of course, there's 2 more buttons on the console. Auto nav and don't touch. Well, I have saved already. What? Ken, did you hear something? It was probably just the Gators entertaining another Space Quest player. Go back to sleep, Berta. Ah, Roberta and Ken Williams, who I have no idea what they sound like. I figured there had to be something like this in here. Ah well. So this time I press the auto nav. There's a planet nearby called Corona, and it has a breathable atmosphere, but boy do I hope I packed the SPF 50. Time to land. It is funny what sounds they thought to do or were able to fit on the disc then. Crash landing? Silent as a butterfly's whisper. We do thankfully survive this, and so begins our planet-side adventure on this desert world. Once I unbuckle my seatbelt, of course. Corona is a desert. And you know what that means. If I walk too far out into the sands without rhythm... Actually, walking in any direction but the one I'm meant to go means I'm dead. You're meant to go right, or east, out to this mesa area. And if you listen carefully, you can hear many seasoned Space Quest players screaming at their monitors right now. What a shame that Jack of the Past can't hear their frustrated cries. That would have saved all of us a lot of pain! The mesa I actually recognised from the Space Quest trailer from King's Quest 2. So I am anticipating some nasties around here. Walking around, we find there's plant life. I take a plant that apparently looks like spinach. I like spinach. Sadly, it apparently does not taste like spinach. Or maybe the 2 guys from Andromeda just don't like spinach. Either or. Walking around, I can see 2 extremely suspicious rocks up there on that cliff's edge. Probably important. But how do I get up there, though? Well, I find a nice ramp whilst exploring, and make my way around to this natural bridge. Suddenly, though, the nasties drop. A Sarian spider droid. It'll apparently explode if it makes contact with us. Am I being hunted by these guys now? Killing all survivors so word doesn't get out? God, what jerks these intergalactic tyrants are. Well, I just want to beat them even more now. Did the bridge just crack? Yes, it did. Because it turns out you can only cross this bridge a certain amount of times. But that's totally fine. We actually have a visual indicator warning me of this fact, so I know not to play around with it. That's game design. I'm fine. I'm not traumatized. The spider can't seem to get me as I walk around the cliffs, and to the suspicious pillars where I discover a secret elevator to a deep cavern below. Holy bat caves, Roger! I walk through and I am almost certain this grate here is going to kill me somehow. Might as well check. Of course. Goodbye, Roger. I do like the actual animations for death in this game. It's much harder to be mad at getting killed when it shows you how you died, complete with cartoon physics. You know, compared to just Graham falling flat on his face in one frame. So after trying to lure the monster from the grate with the plant, I try to see if I can move around it. Surprisingly, this works, and I sidle around this terror with ease. However, I don't know what to do here. There's very clearly a door over there. the game even acknowledges it, but I can't figure it out. There's a geyser here too, that's probably important somehow. I reload a previous save to see if I missed anything. Back to the mesa then, and that spider drone is probably a good place to start. I get it into my head, I meant to lure it up to the bridge and have it fall down after me, but I can't get the 8-legged mech to follow me up the ramp and end up blowing myself up. I try this for a while before realizing it's impossible, and then noticing there's a big boulder on the land bridge. Turns out it's possible to push it. So I reload again. Yes, that counts as a death, I suppose. I irreversibly screwed myself out of something, so yeah. And I wait until the robot goes underneath me so the rock can squash this arachnotron. This ends up taking a very long time. I'm not sure there's any actual scripting that will take the spider underneath you as a guarantee. I also don't want to touch the game speed at this time, as I might have to react quickly to hit the spider. But it does eventually pass underneath and is deftly destroyed. Now I'm free to explore around a little bit more. Typing "look around" handily lets me know there's a cave off to the right over there. The art in this game is probably better than either King's Quest game, but I did not clock that was a cave until the game told me. I enter, and would you believe there's a monster in here? I try to work out what I have to type to look at him before he comes and gets me. Oh, his name is Orat, is it? Neat. Well, now I've reloaded, I can go and talk to Orat. Okay, well, maybe if I hide behind these rocks. Maybe what I meant to do is not crush the spider, but take him over to his cave, where they'll kill each other. Wait, where is he? Oh god, now I'm trapped with the spider. I get to look around Orat's cave, but there's nothing in here? Why was I even bothering to try this? You know what, maybe there was more in that elevator cave. Let's go back, or forward, or wherever it is. Turns out there was. In this first chamber, there's a rock on the floor. I take the rock. Apparently also the elevator only goes down, so this is a big point of no return. Maybe the rock is all I need. You'd be an evil developer to put in missable items that you can't go back and get once you get stuck. Will putting the rock into the geyser help? Yes, this opens the door. God knows why, but I can't call it bad logic if the first thing I thought to do with the rock was the correct thing to do. This takes us further into the cave. There's once again an area above us here, and also a pool on the right side. The gentle dripping has a soothing effect on your frazzled nerves. Yeah, listen to it. Doesn't it just fill you with nirvana? This is the opposite of the next room, accessed by walking down a somewhat hidden corridor. I hate this noise. Not just because it's ear-grating, but I heard so much of it while I tried to work out what the hell I had to do next. The danger here is obvious. There are two units emitting beams of light. Not lasers. What's a laser? Never heard of those. These are just lights amplified by stimulated emission of radiation, or for short, beams. If we pass through them, we come out on the other side less complete than we were. So, what do we do? My thought for ages was that I needed to move the liquid from the other room to these units to make them short circuit, but I can't take it. I have no means of doing so, which is nonsense because I have a helmet, but apparently I can't take it off because of stupid reasons. I can't climb over the units or up the walls, as apparently everything is just too slippery. I can't jump over the beam, because apparently jumping is just not allowed in this game, explicitly. Nothing's quite so annoying than thinking you have the solution to a problem, but then the game just makes up a new reason for why it can't work. No item I have works with the beams, or the units, or this pool out here, which the longer I spend here, the less I became convinced did anything at all. I spend a long time here just feeling stuck. I did King's Quest 1 and 2 in a single day each, but Space Quest, I actually left off here to do something else, and think about what I might need to do because frankly, even if I reloaded an earlier save, I wasn't sure what I was going to do there. As seen here the next day when I reloaded back outside to try and lead Orat outside his cave, but it doesn't work and I ended up getting captured again. I look around, go back and forth around the area, and go back to the main chamber too to hear that horrible tinny shrieking mocking me. Eventually, I came to the obvious solution and restarted the whole game, which I breezed through now that I knew what I was doing, but I was desperately trying to find something new, something different, something I had missed. The whole ship was basically the same, but I learned I can use the look command specifically on the floor of a room to get a different description, discovering that this central thing in the star generator room only goes by the name pedestal. Not plinth, not table, only pedestal. It doesn't actually help me, but knowing now I may need to look at the floor feels like it should. And it does! When I crash land back into the planet in record time, I look at the floor before I leave, and there's a survival kit on the floor. Inside is a pocket army knife and a can of dehydrated water. Wait, a can of what? Reading the label, it apparently needs contact with the air to make water. Okay, so not just add water. It also says not to open or rupture, which feels quite pointed. So, I take this all the way around the cliffs. The spider shows up late, but I ignore him, because he's probably only worth points, and enter the cave, back through the chamber, and attempt to splash water on the beam units, and nothing happens. I can't open the bottle to soak everything, I cannot use the knife to cut anything either. I've made 0 progress. I load back outside and try to see if Orat killing me with the water bottle in my inventory will cause it to explode, but no. I come back again, tucking myself behind these rocks where I think he can't get me. I try to show Orat how to drink, but he doesn't care. I don't know anymore, man. I don't even remember Orat's name anymore at this point. I try throwing water on him, but it's rude to call the alien an alien, so whatever, just splash him. Oh, I threw the water bottle, and he ate it. That water bottle said it contained 10 gallons, which is 37 litres, which floods the beast's body in an instant, causing him to explode, with no sound effect. Naturally. This leaves a chunk of the dear departed beast on the floor, which I take to the cave straight away and begin rubbing it on the beams and units, and no, it doesn't do anything. I thought maybe the bone would have some kind of razor-sharp properties or something, but I'm just out of luck. Can't wash it in the pool, can't even eat the bloody thing. I'm still stuck. I wander outside to see if I have everything. The cave is empty. Every way out from here onto the desert leads to death by sandworms. Every single way. I get excited at one point and discover I can come to the other side of this cliff. There's a hole in the wall, and I take a peek inside to find my own death. I took another break at this point, and when I came back, I just found myself doing more of the same things I'd done before. Mindlessly wandering around in circles, trying things I'd already done. I decided it was time. It felt so early in the game to do this, but I went to look things up online. Rather than go to someone's walkthrough, however, I found a transcription of the official Space Quest hint book from Sierra over on spacequest.net. This felt more within the spirit of things, and also just a bit more fair and fun. I mean, the page itself says, being stuck on a puzzle for too long is frustrating. On this page, you won't find a walkthrough, but the hints from the official hint book. A hint doesn't spoil the game like a walkthrough does. And yeah, there's a bunch of assorted tips in here on various points in the game you might get stuck on. And also some fake hints on moments that don't correspond to the game at all, trying to teach you to play the game yourself and only look at the hint book for what you're actually trying to look up. According to the website, these were all actually written by Roberta Williams, so that's fun. So then I look up my little problem and discover I should not have felt so bad at all, as this is nonsense. I am missing an item, and you can only get the item I need from your crashed escape pod. If you stand outside of it and look at the pod, you'll get some fairly bland text about it, but if you look at it while standing in front of it, your character will remark about a piece of glass on the floor that has zero graphical representation in the world, and you need to take that glass you've now been told exists and put that glass in the beam to reflect the light and destroy the units. I'm not sure I would have worked that out without the hint book, and while I try to solve everything myself moving forward, it's an interesting little thing we'll be looking back at from time to time in this video. So, finally able to move on, I advance to the next room, the upper part of this chamber, and I'm killed by a droplet from the ceiling. I move through the next room and come to a great void? Oh. Hello, sir. Oh. I didn't turn on the dialect translator. It's too late now, and he sends me back to the surface. I might be able to go back around, but I'm just going to reload to be on the safe side. It's also quicker. Gadget on, I go to speak to the giant head again, now able to comprehend its words. I have been monitoring your travels on our planet. It appears that you are up the proverbial estuary without a means of locomotion. Did he really say that, or does this translator also familiarize metaphors? He asks for proof that we killed Aurat, and after dropping the chunk of him, the door opens for us to enter. This is an interesting room. A steam generator amidst high-tech alien computers and hovercraft. We did see that this area has moisture, so that is one way to get power. It's just a fun detail I like. The aliens tell us they are a peaceful race, which is interesting considering they wanted Aurat dead. I guess it's a matter of peace or else. They happily give us a means of transportation to help us on our way. A skimmer that hovers above the sandy surface, meaning we can avoid the grell. You know, the miniature sandworms we saw earlier? The skimmer will take us to a piece of civilization called Eulint's Flats. We're on our own from there, but hey, it's better than nothing. Then he flies away. I also love the detail of adding other aliens to the room who appear to be getting on with their day. The consideration for world building within Space Quest is surprisingly competent considering King's Quest II was released just the previous year, and it's very welcome. Before I leave, I do note the computer console on the other side of the room. There's a cartridge slot in it. Finally time to see what's on this disc. It contains a message from one of the scientists from the Ark Order, who says that he anticipated the Sarian attack. Falling into the wrong hands, the device that can turn a planet into a giant ball of fire could be used for evil. Yeah, who'd have thunk? This disc contains the plans for the star generator, so we can at least make more for the people of Ernon. But most importantly, it tells me a code that will make the star generator self-destruct. This is vital for finishing the game. So, very glad I got this disc and decided to examine this computer, the only place you can read this. You will also have to note down the code, which is one of the few times I felt I had to take notes in this game. You've probably noticed already, but the game is split up into smaller zones rather than a big open field, so I haven't felt the need to draw a map or anything like that, despite the game still advising me to in the manual. Maybe people in 1986 had a really bad sense of direction. Alright, we have purpose. Stop the Sarians and blow up the star generator. And our first order of business is getting to town. So I get in the skimmer and... how do I make this thing go? Oh, there's a key. I guess I'll turn it and yeah, that did the trick. You can't help but wonder what you've gotten yourself into this time. I'll tell you one thing we're getting into, something I know to be infamous for these Sierra adventure games. Our first encounter with a mandatory arcade sequence. As I said way back with King's Quest, I have limited experience with Sierra's adventure games, but I am aware how loathed these sequences can be. This sets the tone for how things will go. It seems simple. You control your speeder moving left and right, and have to dodge incoming rocks along your path. But you don't have much time to react when you see a rock coming, and it's random where one might appear. This means you could get one rock spawn just after and next to another rock, so you dodge one and into another. The game does actually give you enough health to take a few hits, but it's still pretty unforgiving. The sound is also quite draining. It's a simple low-tech loop of what a speeder might sound like, sure, but the loop is imperfect. Listen. Be thankful I spare you this amidst all my attempts. And it takes me quite a few. At first I was doing this on normal speed, but many deaths broke me down and I turned it down to slow. Now I have a bit more time to react. That might seem like cheating, but guess what? The hint book tells you to do this. It's not impossible on normal speed, but I didn't play Space Quest, so I could play a primitive version of some mobile endless runner game. Besides, playing on slow is harder in some respects because you have to listen to that imperfect loop for twice as long. Eventually, when my health is critical and I'm at my limit, I make it. I come to Ulent's Flats. We pull ourselves into town, just as Greedo appears to be making his way into the bar. The skimmer's out of juice, but apparently it will charge itself back up. Solar powered, I guess? Well, let's look around this place and see what we can find. First thing I do is take the key from the skimmer, because that absolutely feels like a trap to net yourself a game over. Spoiler alert, it is. When you leave the skimmer, this guy comes around, and if you didn't pick up the key, he steals it. Instead, if you have the key, he'll offer to buy the skimmer off you for 30 Buckazoids. I have absolutely no idea if that's a good deal or not. But I can't work out how to accept it anyway, so he gets impatient and leaves. There's a little voice in my head telling me I've screwed up, but I might as well wander around the place and see what I'm meant to be doing. There are 3 main locations in Ulent's Flats, 2 of which are a used Starship dealer and Droids Be Us. Apparently it was originally called Droids Are Us until a certain toy company complained to Sierra. We need to buy ourselves a ship and a droid to get us off this planet. And to do that, we need Buckazoids. But that guy was only offering us 30 Buckazoids, which won't even get us a simple clanker of a robot, let alone an interstellar vessel. Well, that's where the bar comes in. Yeah, dig that sweet jizz. We're not here for the band though, we're here for the slot machine. This one, over here, that just turns that alien to dust. We need to gamble our way off this planet. Although, currently I have 0 Buckazoids to gamble, so I guess I ought to reload and accept that guy's offer. Turns out you just have to type yes, and there we go. Huh, why didn't that reload give me a death count? And does anyone else hear the sound of Space Quest fans screaming at their monitor again? Then I begin my gambling quest, and in less than 2 minutes I lose all my money. I'm broke, and I cannot finish the game. Oh god, I'm gonna be in this bar a while. Is that ZZ Top? What? This isn't a puzzle, this is a method of torture. You have to gamble, grinding up the amount of cash you need to leave. There is no other option. So, you need to save scum the ever-living hell out of this slot machine. Anytime you win, hit a new all-time best for cash, save the game, and keep gambling. Drop too low, might as well reload from that previous best, and hope you get lucky again. Betting the maximum amount feels like it makes the most sense since you want those big payouts and you can reload as much as you want. So risk it all and keep rolling until you make it. I won't count all my reloads as deaths for my own sanity, ones where I haven't dropped out but just feel I want to start from a point with more money. You might think that's cheating, but don't worry. I also have to account for all the deaths that do happen at the machine. Remember that alien that turned to dust when we walked in? When you roll 3 skulls on this machine, it just kills you. I guess there's not much repeat business at this thing. Is that the Blues Brothers? What? At the thought of having to grind for however long it's going to take, I decide to get Roger drunk and waste my money ordering beer after beer at the bar. Turns out, though, this is what I'm meant to do. I overhear at the bar where the Sarian ship is, and it sounds like they're already testing the star generator. Well, I stumbled into the correct path. Then immediately went to the wrong path by making Roger drink more terrible beer, at which point he began moving around drunkenly and randomly. I just have to steer him carefully out of the room. Okay, he's sober again. Back inside to gamble. Let's keep this brief. I gamble until I can afford a droid first. I take the more expensive of the two, at 36 Buckazoids, as it actually says it's meant for piloting ships. And I suspect that the cheaper one is a trick. Spoilers, it is. Droid acquired, back to gambling. I'm saving myself up for the more impressive ship on the lot, costing a whopping 214 Buckazoids, as I suspect the cheaper ships are a trick. Spoilers, they are. So I gamble. I gamble a lot, with much reloading due to death or losing money. The lo-fi bleeping and blooping is starting to get a bit too much for me, as well as how mindless this whole thing is. I just keep betting the maximum and then occasionally reloading. There's no other skill or strategy you can put in for this. Even the hint book says to just save scum your way through. Why make it like this? God. And I know this won't be my only time gambling in a Sierra adventure game. Eventually I put an audiobook on in the background, which I clear at least 2 chapters of before I finally have enough. I buy my ship, hop on in, load the droid inside, and the robot asks me where I want to go. Where was that Sarian ship again? I save, reload the old save, see it was sector HH, and then reload back on the ship. That's not a death, Roger just used his vivid photographic memory. And we fly away. Oh. Well, whatever. We have a galaxy to save. Destiny awaits. We fly our way through an asteroid field, which I'm very glad isn't a minigame, and begin to make our way to the Sarian ship, the Deltaur. I hope you didn't waste money on the extended warranty when you purchased me. Little buddy, you're basically a moving inventory item. Why would I buy warranty for what I'd throw away the second it solves the one puzzle I need it for? And here is the Deltaur. Now that's a ship. I slagged off the Arcorda for looking like it attracts bigger bully ships, and this thing looks like the big bully ship. It's like an intergalactic metal shark, but as Roger himself says, unless you do something to try and stop the Sarians, there will be no home to return to. Right, let's do something then. Land on Deltaur? No. Board Deltaur? No. Exit ship? Yes, you can, but then you float through space forever. Dead. Talk to the droid? No. Look in the ship for something? No. Look at the floor? No. Look around? No. Pull throttle? That worked before. No. Look at the controls? The console? Double no. Dock, crash ship, fly forward, fly to Deltaur. Just fly! Fly to port, or starboard, or to the hangar, or look at the planet, or at space, or... Nothing works. I'm stuck again. After hitting my head against the wall for far too long, I look at the hint book again, and I am in horror when the book asks me where my jetpack is. I don't have a jetpack. The only place to get a jetpack is from the guy who buys your skimmer, by rejecting his first offer and then leaving and returning to the skimmer and waiting for him, where he'll offer 30 Buckazoids and also a jetpack. This is his final offer, and the one you should accept. I do so, and now have a jetpack. But I also have to do all of the gambling all over again. Surprisingly, that's all my deaths. I got kinda lucky this time around, even scoring a couple of jackpots for big wins, but it still takes quite a bit of tedious time. Fun fact, there is a cheat code to get past this without grinding. In this version of the game, if you type "holy shit" while at the machine, you get to pick where the slots will stop. You have to type it for every spin, but I don't know. I don't think I would have felt bad knowing about this and using it. Holy shit indeed. Several more chapters of my audiobook later, I tell my droid to fly off to Xenon and wait for me as I fly out of my ship and approach the Deltaur with my jetpack. There's a fun little sequence where I fly towards its airlock door, which mercifully doesn't kill me, and Roger climbs inside the warship. Our sneaky infiltration is immediately thwarted when we're locked inside the airlock. However, after bumbling around for a bit, a silly robot clumsily walks in and leaves the door open, so that's okay. We come to a big empty room, but for a trunk lying on the floor. So I open it and then look inside, but it's empty. I've played enough Metal Gear to know what I'm doing here. I climb inside, where we're locked in the dark, as I moved from one room to another. Leaving the trunk once it's safe, Roger leaves his jetpack behind in it. Apparently we don't need it anymore. But frankly, I'm personally offended at the casual discarding of the coolest sci-fi gadget going besides maybe the holodeck. And what evil twisted room of the Sarian warship is this? Oh, it's the laundry room. Wow, one machine for a whole starship? Either this thing runs in bulk, or there are a lot of smelly Sarians aboard waiting for their turn. I try to look inside the washer, but the window's too dirty. So I open it and look inside, but the game warns me, "Quick! Someone might be coming! Do something!" Okay, I jump in the washer! Oh no. How terrible and totally unpredicted. Wait, I'm still alive? And red? I get out of the washer and somehow, in the spin cycle, I ended up perfectly dressed in a Sarian uniform and helmet. Sure, okay. I'm disguised as a soldier aboard the enemy vessel. It's like that bit in that one movie. I go down one of the elevators first and come to a new floor, where the star generator is here. However, there's a force field surrounding it, and a Sarian guarding it. I'm going to need to take care of these before I can set this doomsday weapon to turn on itself. You can actually kiss the alien here, but you think better of it. Okay, I make my way to the upper level, still exploring, and across this walkway is the armory. The droid asks for my ID. Damn, I've got to go find someone's ID. But then I think to check this uniform's pockets. And what do you know? I do have my ID! The robot leaves the room for a few seconds and comes back and gives me a pulse ray. He warns me not to fire it indoors, so naturally, I try to shoot him. He seems more insulted than anything, so I try again despite his warnings and I'm instantly vaporized. Okay, enough screwing around. Now I can blast my way out of here and be the great hero of space. My, aren't you the clumsy one? Because of your inability to walk without falling on your face, your helmet is now riding the elevator without you. You've blown your cover. The Sarians are sure to shoot first and ask questions later. Well, so much for our disguise. You might be wondering, and yes, this is scripted to happen only after we get our gun. You cannot avoid falling arse over head. So, we might as well make the most of this. There appears to be a security droid blocking the way to the star generator right now, so maybe I'll explore the upstairs a bit first. There's still places I haven't been to after all. Damn, these guys are quick on the draw. It's fine, I'll reload a bit earlier when my disguise is still here, and then I'll come back for the gun. But there's not much to see. The other elevator here is out of order, and if I take this one and go down the corridor here, I end up back in the room where I climbed in the trunk. no extra items as far as I can see, so I go back and try my luck with the gun again. I sadly can't seem to shoot the guard from the balcony above, so I make my way down there to deal with him face to face. I see a robot droid on the way and try to zap him, but apparently my gun only works on the living. Great. I lose my helmet again, and after a cheeky little save, just in case, I go out to kill that guard. Gotta be quicker on the draw than that, Roger. Well, I'll turn on slow mode again. Oh, that... I didn't have any time to react at all. That's a different message too. Okay, I'll spray the door before I go in and just mash the key the second the screen changes. This isn't what I'm meant to be doing, is it? So begins another exploration for what I'm meant to be doing. I walk around the ship a bit and do verify my gun can kill Sarians. I even get some points for doing so. But walking around the corridors, I find nothing. I can't find any items or anything that can help me. Only death awaits in these corridors from various little baddies. At one point, I think the vent here must be the way to go, but it's quite high and the trunk that was here is gone. So I reload to when I got out of the washer, close the trunk, climb on top, open the vent using that army knife I got ages ago, and I can't fit in because the alien clothes are just too big. So I reload to before I got in the washer, do it all again, and hey presto, I'm in the vents! Let's climb up.
I'm still in a dream, snake eater.
I make my way to this vent and smash my face on it. My nose getting more torment in this game. The knife can't seem to open the vent, which appears to be stuck. I try to use percussive maintenance before it turns out a good kick opens it. And I enter... the room I entered the trunk in? Wait, but wasn't this down a floor? And I went up? Yes. And that room and the washer room are the only rooms this vent goes to. The long ladder sections are just meant to be bridges that make this an infinite ladder that I guess encircles the whole ship and only goes to 2 single rooms. No one else needs oxygen. This is actually an alternative way into the ship without putting yourself into the trunk. So, okay. I nearly consider myself stuck at this point, nearly reaching for the hint book a 3rd time, before I eventually return to the armory and notice there are little things on the desk there. Are those grenades? I'm guessing so, based on the robot's threats to kill me if I take them. That or they're really attached to their salt and pepper shakers. I know what to do here. Whilst the robot goes to get my gun, I grab a grenade and pick up my pulse ray like nothing ever happened. Let's look at this grenade. Wow, okay, yeah, that was stupid, I guess. And frankly, I'm shocked you didn't just kill me outright for doing that. Whatever, let's just take out that guard. Ah, turns out they're gas grenades, and the guard is down. Let's make our way over, lose our helmet, and go into the chamber with the star generator. I search the guard and find out he has a remote for the force field on him, so that's everything sorted in one fell swoop. Now it's just time to input the code. It throws me a little, the display doesn't register what buttons we press, but once I carefully type it all in... I have turned this down for your convenience. Be thankful. Time to make our daring escape. Robot over there, so we'll go upstairs, I guess. I hadn't clocked what the vents were for yet, so I tried going in them first of all before failing to do so, and getting blasted when I left the room. Escape attempt 2 ends early when a droid spawns much closer to Roger and kills him. Escape attempt 3 is where I decide to check the elevator that's out of order, and is apparently now working fine, and leads straight to a shuttle hangar. We climb aboard and take off. Peeling away just as the Deltaur begins to explode. We've done it! We've actually done it! The Sarian ship explodes into a million pieces, and the galaxy is now safe once again. Don't get a big head, though. Congratulations, Roger, you've rid the universe of the evil Sarians and saved your people from certain doom. Sorry, rid the universe? That was all the Starians in the universe on that ship? Thank God you guys are throwing me a ceremony, or else I'd think I'm a monster. With the data cartridge we had, a new star generator can be built, and hopefully they can hold on to it a little bit more tightly this time. Applause, everyone! Applaud Roger, who has... what is that? A golden... oh. A golden mop. How generous. Once a janitor, always a janitor. And that was Space Quest. You know, there's a temptation to rage at the game's frustrating moments, and undeniably, I think this game has some huge flaws, and some very dickish design decisions that deserve nothing but disrespect. But when I got to this ending screen, I didn't feel mad, or tired, or exasperated, or glad the whole thing was finally over. I was happy. Space Quest feels kind of special. Compared to King's Quest 1 and 2, it is such a massive step up in so many regards. From having a more developed story to follow, being more focused rather than dumping you in a field and asking you to solve scattered puzzles, and having a universe that feels alive and bustling with characters that aren't necessarily deep, but they feel like they have a purpose and function outside of being problems to solve. The game's charming too. No, its jokes aren't going to tickle me laughing every time, but its commitment to having funny deaths and having a gentle poke at the player in these text boxes takes a lot of the edge off of moments that otherwise would have left lasting frustration, like Bridges or Rumpelstiltskins. It's like me and the game are actually in dialogue, and it knows just when to give and reward the player that makes the times it takes and screws me over less prominent. Just a little humour, showmanship, and personality can go a long way, and makes me want to keep going to see what happens next. Don't get me wrong, this game still has problems, but in doing this series, Space Quest is the first game that has felt bigger than the sum of its parts. Like an actual adventure. Ultimately, yeah, I like this game. It's unfair and frustrating sometimes, but I think it knows it, so I like it. Good for you, Space Quest. Next time I play an adventure game, we'll be going back to Daventry, I think. King's Quest 3 released just shortly after this game, so I'm curious how the two will compare. I'm also curious about all these comments from people, rubbing their hands together in glee at the idea of me getting to King's Quest 3. What am I getting into here? Thank you for watching this video. This took way longer than it should have. I have actually a bunch of larger projects slow cooking right now, which ate into making this. Some of these were meant to be smaller until, whoops, the rabbit hole opened up. Again. I hope to at least clear some of them in the time it took this one video to come out. Thanks again to my patrons who allow me to keep making videos. Your support is always genuinely appreciated. Patrons get to ask questions for Q&A segments at the end of videos, which we'll get into right now. If you had the ability and resources to implement a single quality of life improvement in any of the Sierra games you played so far, what would you choose? Have the characters move to the location where the action typed happens, rather than asking me to move closer. Like, I don't need hints or tips, but that genuinely gets a little bit much sometimes. I could have skipped that whole section of trying to get into the pod if that actually worked. And I don't always bring this up, but this is a recurring annoyance when playing these games. We're almost halfway through 2024. Do you have a favourite game you've played this year? Given how much time I've put into a game I did not have on my radar, Helldivers 2. It's even been eating into my Balatro time. And I love Balatro! Are there any games that you'd do videos on if you had more time? A ton. Just 2 examples. I want to do videos on Metal Gear and Kingdom Hearts. Not together, just both series, covering each game individually and why I love them. But good God, that will take so much time. And I'm already drowning in projects, both active and potential right now. Any releases you're excited for this year? 9 Souls. I love that demo from a couple of years ago, and now we have a release date. Genuinely cannot wait to play that. Okay, that's enough for now. Stay safe, and I hope to see you all soon. If you go into this one corner, you can empty your bladder. God only knows why.